Right, let's get straight into it. Today, we're taking a look at a really profound piece of ancient philosophy that asks us to reconsider literally everything we think we know about two very heavy concepts, heaven and hell. We typically think of these as physical destinations, right? Places with pearly gates or, fiery pits. But the source material we're exploring today proposes something completely different. It suggests that they might not be physical places at all, but simply psychological states that we construct ourselves. So, are they real places or just states of mind? This question pulls us right into an ancient text that dismantles our common assumptions, and it does so using two highly captivating parables. It essentially challenges us to look inward rather than outward. The text argues that our daily experiences, our suffering or our joy, are entirely dependent on our mindset. It's actually an incredibly empowering idea when you really think about it. And to illustrate this, the source offers a very vivid thought experiment. Let's dive into our first section, which is centered around a famous philosophical puzzle known as the 3-foot chopstick test. Okay, so the text begins with a story about a traveler who gets the rare opportunity to visit both realms. First, this traveler arrives in hell, and they witness this massive, incredible banquet, but it's an absolute nightmare. People in hell are starving and bruised because they are fighting to eat with chopsticks that are 3 feet long. I mean, imagine that for a second. 3 feet long. Every single time they try to grab some food and bring it to their own mouths, it's physically impossible. The chopsticks are just way too long. So they drop the food, they snatch it from one another, they start physically fighting, leaving everyone battered, angry, and completely starving. The traveler looks at this and thinks, okay, hell is miserable because the chopsticks are simply too long to use. But then the traveler goes to heaven, and they walk into the exact same banquet. The contrast here is brilliant. Heaven has the exact same 3-foot chopsticks, literally the exact same environment, but the people there are laughing and completely full. Why? Because they use those massive chopsticks to feed each other. One person picks up a delicious piece of food and extends those long chopsticks across the table to place it directly into the mouth of their neighbor. And then the neighbor does the exact same thing for them. I feed you, you feed me. Everyone eats, everyone is happy, and the food never runs out. Which brings us nicely to our next section, unpacking the concept that heaven and hell exist purely in the mind. Think about it. The tools they were given didn't change even a little bit. The only thing that shifted was their intention. Self-centered calculation leads to a literal hell of isolation, while altruism naturally results in the reward of others caring for us. The text makes a really explicit point here. In the hell scenario, people are hyper-focused on their own gain. They're constantly calculating what's in it for me. And that very selfishness creates their torment. They become unlikable, isolated, miserable. But in the heaven scenario, by putting someone else first, they actually secure their own well-being. By caring for others, they're cared for in return. It's this perfect, self-sustaining loop of mutual joy. Our underlying thoughts and intentions totally dictate our relationships and ultimately the world we inhabit. Now let's move to our third section, a classic showdown between a Zen master and a general. The text escalates things here. We move from physical actions, like sharing food, to internal emotional control, shifting to two very specific archetypes. We meet a highly skeptical military general who challenges a deeply respected Zen master. He essentially demands proof of these invisible realms. This general represents your ultimate pragmatist. He marches right in and basically says, look, people say doing good deeds gets you to heaven and bad deeds send you to hell. But we can't see them. I don't buy it. I think it's all a lie. He wants cold, hard, tangible evidence of something deeply spiritual. So watch the brilliant psychological process that happens next. The master intentionally insults the general's status, instantly triggering explosive anger and a drawn sword. The Zen master looks the general up and down, completely unimpressed, and says, "Who are you?" When the man proudly proclaims he's a military general, the Zen master just bursts into mocking laughter. He says, "With a face like yours, you dare call yourself a general? That is laughable." Now, for a proud, seasoned military man, this is the ultimate disrespect. The general's ego flares up instantly, he flies into a blind rage, and he draws his sword, fully intending to strike the Zen master down right there on the spot. At that exact split second, hiding safely behind a Buddhist statue, the Zen master points straight at the violent, furious general and delivers this massive realization. He yells out, "Look, this is hell." He isn't pointing to some mythological fiery pit in the ground. He's pointing directly at the general's state of mind. that all-consuming rage, the total loss of control, the immediate violence. That is hell, manifesting right there in the room. And the general? Well, showing some incredibly great inner wisdom, he instantly grasps the lesson. He feels deeply ashamed of his explosive temper, and he humbly apologizes. He realizes he was played, but in the absolute best way possible. The text actually notes that the general has strong spiritual roots because he immediately recognizes the truth of the master's teaching. He puts his sword away, drops his massive ego, and offers a deep, respectful apology for his outburst. And the very second the general lets go of his anger and chooses peace, the Zen master delivers his second brilliant punchline. He smiles and says, "Look, this is heaven." The sudden shift from violent rage to calm clarity, from huge ego to humility, that transition right there is the entrance to heaven. It didn't require dying. It simply required letting go. Let's pull all of this together in our final section, the wisdom of changing your mind, not your environment. These two stories build perfectly into the core philosophical climax of the text. The fundamental idea is that ordinary people react to harsh words by holding grudges or acting out, but sages know true peace comes from adjusting their own internal state. The text breaks this down beautifully. An ordinary person, when faced with adversity, like someone saying something unpleasant, they react outward. They get angry, they yell back, they draw a sword, or maybe they just hold on to a really bitter grudge for the rest of their lives. They are entirely at the mercy of their environment, constantly wanting the outside world to change so they can be happy. But a wise person, a sage, doesn't demand the world to be perfect. They just change their own reaction to the world. The practical application here is just immense. When facing adversity, we absolutely must stop fixating on the outside world. We have to let go of our attachments and create peace within ourselves. We're told to stop complaining and trying to force everyone else to change. The real work is adjusting our own hearts. If we can just let go of our obsessive attachments to how things should be, suddenly the conflict dissolves. We stop reacting to every little slight. We find immediate peace, much like stepping into heaven, right in the middle of a chaotic world. The source material makes it incredibly clear. Our thoughts ultimately decide our behavior, and our behavior literally builds the reality we live in. Since it's so clear that our mindsets dictate our reality, I want to leave you with a really provocative thought to chew on today. You hold those 3-foot chopsticks. You hold the sword. So based on your own reactions, your own resentments, and your own generosity, are you currently constructing a personal heaven or a personal hell? Take a hard look at your internal environment today. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.